Good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday, July 19th, 2023. It is the latest installment of Sports Talk Live with your host, myself, Nick Burt. Hopefully, you are having a great Wednesday. Well, end of the day of Wednesday, so hopefully, you had a great Wednesday. We're getting closer to the weekend, which means there are going to be some sporting events on, but not really, if we're honest. We're inching closer to just everything being back almost at the same time. NFL training camp, I believe, starts next week. So we are getting ever so closer to football being back. And then, as soon as football starts, then it's hockey, then it's basketball, then it's all combined into one and just all out there right now. So we do have a few things to talk about today. We're going to start off in the league that I just mentioned, the NFL. We'll get to that. We'll preview a few of the Women's World Cup matches that start technically tonight, but it's tomorrow morning, 3 a.m. It is, I believe, New Zealand and Norway that kick it off. It is New Zealand and Norway. Then I believe Australia is the game after that. We'll get to it. We got our CFL Power Rankings. As always on Wednesday nights, we do have a CFL Power Rankings for Week 6, I believe this is now. We have our post-Week 6 Power Rankings, so we'll get to that. But let's start in the NFL. Like I said, there really isn't much going on. The running back market is falling apart quite quickly. Saquon Barkley talking about sitting out since he's not getting the contract he wants from the Giants. Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook, they still sit on, it's not even the sidelines waiting for a contract because they're not going to get paid what they want to get paid. I've always said the running back's the second most replaceable position in football, right behind the kicker. So to say the market for a running back has fallen out isn't surprising to me. It's because you can go draft a running back, and yes, he might not have the exact productivity that an Ezekiel Elliott does, or a Kareem Hunt does, or any of them. Yes, that's true, but the NFL is becoming a more passing league now that you don't need a superstar running back anymore. So therefore, why would you pay a ton of money to a running back in a position that you can easily replace through the draft to have somebody on a rookie contract? It's just that this is what the league's turning into now. And I'm not surprised that these players haven't been signed because they're asking for gigantic contracts. I know Le'Veon Bell came out yesterday that said basically he is the reason why this is happening. He signed that huge contract with the New York Jets, just never produced with them, and the market's kind of fallen out after that. So, well, yes, it's a point. It's somewhat a valid one. I mean, Le'Veon Bell did not have a great time at all with the Jets, given all the money they were paying him. He sat out that whole year with the Steelers going into that free agency year, and he winds up getting paid millions and millions and just doesn't produce. He ends up, I believe, getting cut, and that was basically it for him. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with these players. I really don't see Saquon Barkley sitting out the season, but really anything is possible at this point. I mean, these are just talking points right now. Everybody's just trying to get to training camp basically. So wouldn't surprise me either way of how this ends up going for them. But also in the NFL, we do have some other news. Teams over, the past week-ish, mostly ramping up this week. We've been getting a lot of alternate uniforms and alternate helmet unveilings. So I figured I'd react to a few of them that have come out basically just this week alone. One of them is from last week, but it had to be mentioned. So we'll start off with the one from last week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are bringing back the creamsicle. It's first time it's being used since, believe it was 2012, because 2013 would have been the year that the NFL enacted the one helmet rule, which meant that the teams could only use one helmet a year, or one colored helmet a year. They can change the decals on it, just couldn't, change the color of the helmet. So a lot of the throwbacks were lost basically because you couldn't wear them. So the creamsicle was one of those that fell to that reality. The NFL changed the rule going into last season, but due to, still the effects of the pandemic and the supply chain, whatever, a lot of these teams delayed like these huge uniforms till this year. So we see the creamsicle coming back. I love the creamsicle. I think it's a really good look. Now, do I think they should go back to it? No, I think what they have now is basically perfect. While the creamsicle is very good, it's good as a alternate. It's not really good as a full-time uniform, but I love that they're bringing it back. I believe they're using it against the Lions this season, which is in October, I believe. But I love this uniform, but like I said, just as an alternate. Now, a team that I think should go back to a uniform full-time, it was revealed today, the Seattle Seahawks bring back their old uniforms, just absolutely beautiful. It's that blue and green and then the silver mixed in. It looks so amazing. I love this uniform. I think it should be brought back full-time. I mean, it can easily be updated with the newer logos. Like, we don't have to go back to the old Seahawk logo. But this is just absolute perfection right here. They'll be wearing it this year against the Browns. That game's in October. I'm really glad they brought this back. This hasn't been used as a alternate uniform before. Obviously, this was their home uniform and technically away, except it was white jersey. From their inception in 76 to 2001, when they moved into what is now Lumen Field in 2002. That's when they updated to that darker blue, the silver, added like a neon green instead of this green, like an emerald green. I believe that's what this is. But yes, I love this uniform. I think this is what the Seahawks should look like all the time, but obviously then that loses the novelty of this uniform. But like I said, I absolutely love this. I think this should be full-time. I'm really glad the Seahawks brought this one back. Another team that unveiled a uniform, this one was yesterday, I believe. The Minnesota Vikings are bringing back their old uniforms from the 60s era. I like the jerseys on it. The pants are fine. The problem with me is the helmet. If you wanted to fit the full throwback uniform, criteria, you got to use a different helmet. The matte purple, it doesn't work with this helmet. When this uniform was used in the 60s and 70s, or uniform template, I guess, because it wasn't this exact jersey, of course, but this uniform template, it was a darker, glossy purple on the helmet. They used that for the throwbacks back in 2009, because I remember Brett Favre wearing these. They used the actual helmet color from that era. They're just replacing the new Vikings logo with the old Vikings logo and changing it to a gray face mask, but leaving the purple matte helmet. And I don't love it. I think it should be the darker purple. For that, obviously it's such a small detail to an overall good looking uniform, but that just docks points for me. You just got to go full retro here, and that's kind of what got me taken back here with this one. So it's not as good as the other two. Still good, but not great. They will be wearing these against the Buccaneers, I believe, this year in September. But the Buccaneers will not be wearing the creamsicles. So The last one, wanted to mention the Cleveland Browns unveiled a white alternate helmet. As a Browns fan, I will say it's not the best. It's not the worst. I wish that it would have been a white or a gray face mask. I think the brown face mask doesn't really work here. Obviously, they are trying to throw back to basically the Cleveland Browns of the 40s and 50s when they were wearing a white helmet, because that's what these alternate jerseys are designed off of. These jerseys came into use in 2021 for their 75th season. Obviously, the helmet rule was in play then, so they couldn't do a white helmet. Like I said, I would have preferred a white or gray face mask. And if you were trying to do the full throwback here, you also got to get rid of the stripe. But I like the stripe here. I think it's good. But like I said, a white or gray face mask, I think would have made this a lot better. But also saying that with these uniforms, the Browns used to still use their orange helmets, but it would just be one white stripe down the middle, gray face mask, and then the numbers on the side. I will miss those. I really like the numbers on the side. Like, that helmet just had a classic feel to it. I'm sure that we won't see that this year. If we do, I'd be surprised, just given that it has now been replaced with this helmet, obviously. But, you never know. I know they've broken out, I believe, the white face mask a few times last year. So maybe they bring back the numbers on the helmet some point later this season. Just given that was a few of the uniforms. There's still a few coming out, I believe, within the next few days. I know the Colts are doing one tomorrow. The Titans are doing one this weekend, which is supposed to be an Oilers throwback. I believe we're still waiting on the Eagles to do their Kelly Green uniform reveal. The Jets have a throwback uniform coming. So we'll mention those when they happen. But given that, I think it's time for one of the most important segments of the week, I believe, always, every week. It is the CFL Power Rankings time. After a crazy week of football once again, we had Winnipeg losing at Ottawa in overtime. We had the Rough Riders having an immaculate reception with 40 seconds left and still losing the game somehow. We just had some crazy games this weekend, which led to a lot of crazy shakeups in the power rankings. So at number 9, once again, still the Edmonton Elks. They aren't moving anytime soon. At 8, dropping to 8, is the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They don't look good at all. They'd be bottom if the Elks were semi-decent, but they're not. At 7, we have moving up the Ottawa Redblacks. A huge win against Winnipeg in overtime gets them up to number 7. Considered them moving up to 6, but I just couldn't. In retrospect, probably should have, but I felt like this team would have been too low, which is number 6, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, which I have a feeling they will start to be around this area, given that quarterback Trevor Harris is now out indefinitely with, I believe it's like some like torn knee basically that he was having surgery on this week. He's out indefinitely. So that probably means either season's over or he's back in October. Either way, it feels like the Riders' season is done. This team hasn't looked great in any of their games, yet they still won some of them. But I have a feeling they're going to start to make this area home in the power rankings. At number 5, moving up, we have the Montreal Alouettes. They move up just given that the fall of the Rough Riders, basically, given their circumstance. At number 4, we have the team that beat the Rough Riders, the Calgary Stampeders. They move up to 4. Not a totally outstanding performance from them, but it was enough to get over the line to beat the Rough Riders. So they move up to 4. And then at 3, we kept Winnipeg there just because I felt like they couldn't drop a lot, because there is a gap between 1 and 3 and then the rest of the league. Yes, the loss to Ottawa, not great at all. But still, I have to keep them at 3. We have BC staying at 2, and Toronto once again stays at 1 in the league. So that is your week 6 post week 6 CFL power rankings. So we'll move on to a quick kick around the pitch. Just wanted to mention a few things as we're full on in preseason right now. We got a lot of matches going on. We had Bayern Munich yesterday beat like FC. I don't even remember the name of it. It was FC Rotesh Egeren, which is a 9th tier German team. Bayern Munich beat them 27-0. Today I believe it was Club Brugge beat KFC Heist 22-0. There's just a lot of, crazy matches like that going on right now. But I do want to mention my club, obviously. You can tell, Tottenham Hotspur. They played West Ham yesterday morning, lost 3-2. But for the first game under manager Ange Postecoglou, there were a lot of positives to take away. The stat was they had 72% possession, which was a complete rarity under Mourinho, somewhat Nuno, and Conte. Complete rarity, having more than 40% possession, basically. 16 corners. They were creating a lot of opportunities. 13 shots on target, 7 off target. So that would be a total of 20 shots. Obviously it only turned into 2 goals. So finishing is still something that needs to be figured out for Tottenham here. But, they held West Ham to 4 shots on target, 1 off, so 5 total shots, but they let in 3 goals on that. The back line is still a major problem. They need to speed up these transfers of either Mickey Van de Ven or Edmund Tasboda, I believe it is. Tasboda, something like that. Van de Ven from Wolfsburg and Tasboda from Bayer Leverkusen. They need to decide on one, I feel, soon. They need to get them in sooner rather than later. The beginning of the season starting to creep up on us here. So overall, watching attacking football, again, this is a preseason. I should not be taking absolutely anything away from this at all because it's preseason. But watching attacking football, it was just so beautiful to watch, honestly. I haven't been that excited watching Tottenham since 2017, probably 2016, 2017, around there. It was just so refreshing to watch the team on the front foot, attacking the net. It was just so amazing. They played Leicester on Sunday at 6 a.m. They're in somewhere in Asia. So we'll see what happens there. But also yesterday, a big day for, the cast outs, I would say, of Tottenham Hotspur. Giovanni Lo Celso got a goal. He looked very good. Sergio Reguilon, he had his on and off moments. Same with Ndombele. Both had on and off moments, but it's kind of what you expect from them. Guillermo Vicardo, the goaltender that Tottenham signed from Empoli, he looked okay. Hopefully he develops under Postecoglou and turns into a gem, but you can't take anything away from a first game. So given that, like I said, I was happy with what I saw, which means a lot because I haven't been happy in years with this team. So given that, we'll move on to the World Cup. Like I said, the Women's World Cup starts technically tomorrow, tonight. Time zones are weird. 3 a.m. New Zealand face off against Norway in Auckland, New Zealand. This is the opening game of the World Cup. Basically, this is going to be an interesting game, but I also feel like not really. I think New Zealand are outmatched here. I think Norway is a really good team. I mean, we saw it in the video from Monday, my full Women's World Cup preview, which if you didn't watch that, you can always go back and watch that just under the live folder in the YouTube page. It is in there. I just think New Zealand's outmatched here. I mean, they haven't scored in their last 7 games. They've lost their last 3, which included one against Norway, which was a year ago, so doesn't mean a ton, but still. Like I said, I think Norway is the better team here, and I think they end up winning this game. And then also tomorrow, 6 a.m., Australia face off against Ireland. That one's in Sydney, Australia. This game, I'm excited to watch if I'm awake because, it's still, time zones suck for this World Cup, just plain and simple. So going to be kind of tough to watch these games. But Australia haven't lost in their last 5 matches. The Republic of Ireland haven't won in 3, but 2 of them were against the United States and 1 of them was against France. They apparently played a closed-door friendly against Colombia last week or the beginning. Yeah, I think the end of last week it had to be called off because Colombia was playing too hard and trying to injure them. I don't know why you would schedule a friendly like that, but whatever. I do think Australia is gonna win here, given that it's the opening of their World Cup. Technically, it is, but it isn't. I think they're gonna show out and perform against Ireland. I still think Ireland are a good shot to go through, but I feel like this game also could decide who gets one of those 2 spots, because I do think Canada gets the other. So this game could be a telling for a lot of things, basically. And then what would be the next day in New Zealand and Australia at 10:30 tomorrow night in Melbourne. It is Nigeria facing off against Canada, so that's another Group B match with Australia and the Republic of Ireland in that group also. Nigeria just aren't in form at all. They've lost their last 5. And Canada honestly really isn't in form either. They've won 1 of their last 5 and the other 4 were straight losses. I don't know. I still think Canada are a good shot to go through. I still think they got 1 more run left in them, which is this run, obviously. So given that, I still think Canada win this game. So that's going to be it for today. We'll be back on Friday. Another exciting episode. Hopefully, we will have more to talk about. Women's World Cup. I believe during the show on Friday, the U.S. will be playing, which I think they're playing Vietnam. So it will probably be like a 12-0 game if we're honest here. So that is it for today, the Wednesday, July 19th edition of Sports Talk Live. If you stumbled across this video, like, subscribe, tell people about it, We'll be back on Friday for another exciting edition of Sports Talk Live. Thank you for watching.